9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Say his name and he appears. I believe it said.
What's up, beautiful people? Happy Monday. It is November 24th. We're just days away from Thanksgiving. If you're hearing the sound of my sultry voice, that means it's Monday. That means it's Monday Night Raw time. That means it's time to do a recap show. That means it's time for your Monday Night Mare. And this was the go-home show for Survivor Series. It's taking place at Petco Park in San Diego this Saturday evening. And I have to start with, what was that? This was a very interesting Monday Night Raw. Felt rather quick. Felt like we got in and out. Felt like there wasn't a lot of action, but at least we know that there should be a little bit of a surprise coming to San Diego with all of our matches. I believe there's 5 matches listed on the card, and we also have sort of traditional Survivor Series match taking place on SmackDown. Let you guys fill in the chat. This is a quick Monday Night Raw, and I think that's because one match got cut short. But here and there, I mean, we now know who our War Games teams are, or whoever they're captained by. That's still a mystery. We kind of ended the show the same way we ended last week in MSG, with 2 Titans being Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns kind of at odds with each other. But we started the show with the OTC, who called his shot earlier today, and said he was going to start off Monday Night Raw, and he didn't really give us much. He was interrupted by Cody Rhodes, and Cody just wanted to know what was in it for Roman Reigns to join War Games. And at the end of the day, it's family. If you want to be a super fan like me and say, well, how did you know that Paul Heyman was going to get Brock Lesnar? How did you know to be here at that time? I don't like my intelligence to be insulted that much, but this is just a stack War Games. I mean, it's an ESPN branded show. We're just going to stack out this legendary match with all the superstars we can and hope for the best. So it won't be like your traditional War Games we've been seeing the past few years. This is probably the most star-studded War Games that we've had. But nonetheless, Roman says that half this War Games team is his family, and before they were in this war, they were in his bloodline, referring to the Usos. And honestly, Cody brought me in to why he's in this War Games match on Friday, saying that it's damn near his birthright and how Paul Heyman builds them up so he can tear them down. That was a bar. But still, this also continues to tell me that Cody doesn't really have a storyline outside of this orbit over here that has nothing to do with him. And I would have loved for Cody to at least be defending his title on this War Games card somehow, because I don't think he will be defending it at Saturday Night Main Event, because that's going to be for all the up-and-comers and for John. Either way, it seems like the dissension is starting to build with our heroes here, with Cody Rhodes saying it's his team, CM Punk saying it's his team because it's Monday Night Raw. He's the champ on Raw. He's the one that was getting attacked by the Vision pretty much all the time, not Cody Rhodes. So Cody Rhodes' beef is really with Drew McIntyre. So again, this was how we started the show, with Roman being interrupted and pretty much saying he's just here to take care of his family, and that his promise is that he hates the Vision and he hates Paul Heyman more than he hates CM Punk or Cody Rhodes. But he left an interesting message to both of them when he left the ring. He said, since they were being honest, that title would look a lot better on his shoulder. And he left it open-ended, which left CM Punk saying, are you referring to Cody or himself? And honestly, it's evergreen. It can apply to either one. I'm of the belief that you're going to get Roman versus Cody Part 3 in Vegas this year, or Vegas next year for WrestleMania. But if there's a way you get a triple threat and maybe it's a unification, I can see that as well, because CM Punk's storyline kind of got all messed up when Seth got hurt. Same with Roman. I thought this would be the year you get Roman versus Seth at Mania. So you're not getting that either, more than likely. But just dissension amongst your heels. And then, of course, you saw Paul Heyman trying to keep Drew on a leash because he's suspended from SmackDown, but not suspended from Raw. And he was a part of the of the War Games Advantage match to see who's going to get the upper hand come Saturday. Teaming with Logan Paul against the Usos in the main event. The Usos came out backstage telling them to get on page that they were going to be the team to get the advantage because they're the best team out of the 5 men. Pretty much saying that they were going to take the lead since all these guys are bickering with each other. And Roman told Cody and CM Punk to fix this. Will it get fixed? I'm not sure. I think on paper, the stronger team goes to Paul Heyman's assembly of athletes, and that the heel should win. And if I'm being honest, the heel should win both War Games matches. If I'm being brutally honest, because pretty sure Rio was victorious last year, as with Io. I wish Bose was in the chat. I don't think Io has lost a War Games match, but we'll have to see when we do our predictions come Wednesday, because I believe we're taking Friday off. We started off in-ring action with the Last Time Is Now tournament with Gunther taking on Carmelo Hayes. And when it comes to just pure wrestling, this is the match of the night. This is the match that had the most activity, the more close calls, I would say. And Carmelo Hayes, like he's done since NXT, proving that he belongs in the limelight, proving that he belongs in the main event spot. Taking it to Gunther, this wasn't one of those matches where you had to have interference, just a gentleman's bout between two athletes who want the opportunity to take on John Cena in his last match. I like that we teased the way Carmelo won last week against Bronson Reed with the time bell, not the time bell, but with the count out. And I really thought that maybe Gunther might get counted out. And that's a good way to position Hayes over Gunther, since this is like a throwback Gunther now with his old theme. And Hayes never quit. Similar to Javon Evans last week. He didn't quit. He never gave up. It was just too much offense from Gunther in the end that got Hayes out of here, but he showed that he belonged. Honestly, they would have surprised me a lot if Hayes would have won this match. I was rooting for Hayes because, again, I don't think Gunther needs this accolade whatsoever. I don't think he needs this accolade. I don't think he needs to be the one to take on John in his last match. Is he possibly the best pure wrestler in the company? Absolutely. Have we seen Gunther featured in the mid-card, at the top of the card heavily, even in NXT? Absolutely. I think this should be for exactly what John has been saying he wants that night to be, to feature the stars of tomorrow that really need that spotlight, need that shine. And Hayes would have been perfect for that. So I don't know where Carmelo goes from here, but through the Last Time Is Now tournament with Reed, with Gunther, he's had 2 phenomenal matches. And I hope this is just the start of him really getting a big push here come 2026. Because, I mean, he is more than deserving. And outside of like the social media hashtags and things of that nature, he's a guy that should be a solid hand for the next decade, if you're really honest. But Gunther was victorious after a powerbomb, some hammer elbow shots to the temple, and he got another athlete out of here like he normally does. Now, what happens next week, we'll have to see how they pivot with what we know now. But Gunther continues his victory train over Carmelo Hayes in the Last Time Is Now tournament, and I'm pretty sure he's still the betting odds favorite to win the entire thing. Next up, we had Dom. We're in OKC tonight. We had Dom come out to cut a promo on John Cena in Spanish. Of course, he was victorious in his tag team match this past weekend with El Grande Americano against Dragon Lee, as well as El Vikingo, who turned on Dragon Lee in that match. But Dom came out pretty much to call John Cena out and call his shot ahead of going into his hometown of San Diego, saying he was going to get his title back, which, of course, that's what he should say as the heel. I think people are expecting Dom, especially on the day where ESPN ranked him the top number 1 30 under 30 athlete in the WWE. Very nice accolade there. Dom was talking to Strash about John Cena, and then John Cena's music hits. You expect John to come out, and we get kind of a wee Cena, smaller smaller stature man, if you want to call a person a little person, dressed in John Cena gear. Shout out to that person. No, he gave us a sneak peek of what our Cena merch is going to look like for San Diego. Of course, it's going to be San Diego Padres theme. So I'm glad we saw that shirt. Kind of reminds me of the Lakers colorway they did. So that's going to be a nice get if you can get that either on shop before you get there or in San Diego this weekend. The dope thing about this segment is that we not only had a little Cena, we had a little Stu with the camera as well. But to me, and I think I read that this was like an homage to Cena making fun of Angle in 2003, but this whole segment felt flat. This wasn't something to me that Dom needed. It kind of felt cheap. And of course, he beat up the little John Cena, hit a frog splash until his dad came out to make the save, and his dad was set for action against JD McDonough. Love that Dom is getting the heel heat. Love that Dom is positioned as probably one of the best athletes over the next 5 to 10 years because he knows what the hell he's doing. And whether he wins that title back from John Cena, the fact that he is getting that second to last date says a lot about his trajectory as a wrestler. But this segment, I feel like we could have did without it. Really feel like it didn't really push the needle forward for the match. It would have been nice to have John do like a via satellite promo or something like that, but just having the music hit when we know these dates were predetermined back in January, how many we had, we knew he wasn't showing up in OKC tonight. Felt cheap, felt like we did the fans a disservice with that fake pop. But I mean, we get Dom Cena Part 2 this Saturday in San Diego. For his dad, great match against JD McDonough. Quietly as kept, JD McDonough has been one of the workhorses in the entire men's division for like the past quarter. The same way I say Roxanne has been kind of a phenomenal wrestler on the Monday Night Raw on Netflix since being called up. JD McDonough quietly, outside of them not defending the tag team titles, him and Finn, when JD's in singles action, it's something to see. And this was another great moment. I love the part where Ray pulled him outside of the ring, draped over his shoulders. JD still held that position and was able to dump Ray onto the table. Now, we did see some chinks in the armor of Judgment Day, which we've been seeing those cracks little by little by little. I got to believe something's going to come to a head when Liv finally gets back. But Ray did enough just to sneak out a win and get out of town before Judgment Day can play the numbers game. Great to see Ray back in action. Great to see him fully healthy. Got to believe that we are getting closer and closer to Ray and Dom on a big stage. I just don't know what that big stage would be. I would hope that they save that for Allegiant Stadium at WrestleMania in 2026 when they do that there, because Dom is on such a great trajectory. I know they're kind of in each other's orbits. I hope they keep them away from each other, like as far as one-on-one action until the time is right, or until we get to our next big AAA show where they can do it there. Next up, we saw Brock Lesnar arrive to the arena, very pissed off, like Paul Heyman let us know earlier in the night when he told Logan Paul to keep Brock Lesnar's name out of his mouth, which is funny considering we'll get there, but what happened in Brock Lesnar's entrance later in the evening. We get our women's War Games hype. I believe their advantage match is going to take place this Friday on SmackDown. And we saw Becky, Nia, Lash, and the Kabukis all come out. Becky led this segment. Becky was probably the highlight of this segment. This is another segment to me that it's like we're just throwing stuff together. I know we're trying to build hype for War Games. I love that Becky kind of tried to play up the camaraderie that her team is having, kind of doing her best Trump impression like she's been doing, pretty much giving a lot of backhanded compliments to her teammates, pretty much saying, hey, Asuka, you're great. You not as great as me. I think I beat you 9 times out of 10, but you made me work hard for them. And Kyrie, and then getting Asuka to say Kyrie in the very big mama adult tone that everybody loves, and then Kyrie being so scared, Becky saying, hey, I saved your life. You owe me one now. The Nia Jax thing was weird. Backhanded compliment. Nia was the only one to break her face. And then really just talking up Lash, who, if you look in the background of everything, in every week that Lash has been positioned on Netflix on main roster television, she is completely nerfing somebody. The way they're positioning Lash Legend is how she should have been portrayed in NXT for a very long time. So I'm very interested to see how she looks in War Games, and I hope she's the breakout star of War Games. So I'm being honest. If there's a way the heels win, and they should, Lash should be the one to get the pin over somebody. But of course, the ladies of Team Rhea came out. Rhea, Io, Charlotte, Alexa, AJ Lee. AJ Lee saying Becky is made a grave mistake for choosing to be in this War Games match and locking her into a cage with AJ, and that she gets to turn into the old AJ and just do what she wants. So I'm very curious to see how this match is going to play out. We got Masked Rhea again, which was the big reveal last year, kind of redoing that. Nia and Lash being powerhouses. And the powerhouse on the other side pretty much being Charlotte and Rhea. Do Charlotte and Rhea trust each other enough? Io's probably going to grab a trash can. That's been her thing in every War Games match. But it feels like the story they want to tell, the biggest story they want to tell, is AJ versus Becky again until we get a singles match with these women. So I'm guessing they might cancel each other out, and then it's a toss-up who wins, if I'm being honest. But I'm very excited to see Lash in this War Games match. I'm very excited to see her power and how they position her as one of the brighter stars of tomorrow. But this segment, it felt like, to me, it kind of felt like filler until we get the actual War Games Advantage match, whichever, if it's going to be a one-on-one match on Friday or a tag team like they did with the men tonight. It felt like filler that Becky Lynch carried the promo, and then AJ Lee pretty much saying she can't wait to get her hands on Becky because she brings a fire out of her. But kind of weird how we got here. Of course, AJ versus Becky is a bigger story, but we got to remember that this is Asuka's War Games team. Same way with the men. Like, this is CM Punk's War Games team. I don't know what we're doing, but it's a star-studded War Games in the men's and women's divisions, and hopefully it just works for everybody. That's my hope. Next up, Last Time Is Now tournament. Solo Sikoa, who actually had a great match last week against Dolph Ziggler, returning to Monday Night Raw, took on Penta. And this is where maybe the show got a little bit shorter, because through the action, we went to commercial break. We see Penta do a spot off the barricade. Looks like he landed on his shoulder wrong. We go to commercial break. Alicia Taylor comes back and says Penta cannot continue the match, so Solo's the winner. Solo looked visibly upset about the way the match ended. I'm pretty sure that's not the way the match is supposed to end, but this is where we get an interesting curveball, and that's where live television comes in, because now in the bracket you have Solo versus Gunther, where I don't know what that's supposed to look like. It wasn't that long ago that Solo was the one to really take out John Cena, and we remember that on television, and I think it was in Saudi. But now Gunther is probably the favorite to win this whole thing, even the way he's positioned, giving him his throwback music. But what Solo has that Gunther doesn't have is the MFTs. And of course, Tala was ringside with him, so I'm guessing the other 4 or 3 are going to be there as well. So does that mean that we take that angle going into that match to have Gunther have to take out everybody, or is that the nail in the coffin for Gunther? Do we take like a hard pivot now and Gunther is no longer the favorite? Very curious. Of course, the MFTs are going to be in traditional Survivor Series action Friday against Sami Zayn, Motor City Machine Guns, Rey Fenix, as well as Shinsuke Nakamura. We'll see the aftermath of that ahead of Solo's match, but I'm pretty sure, matter of fact, I guarantee Solo Sikoa was not supposed to be the winner. And what sucks about that is, if you watch AAA this past Saturday, we finally got the Lucha Brothers on screen together in WWE, and they were supposed to take on El Grande Americano and Dominic Mysterio in tag team action next month at the next AAA PLE. So hopefully the injury to Penta is not too serious, but it was just enough to where, hey, we got to slow down, make sure we don't injure it anymore, get you checked out, and maybe they get them right for that next match here in AAA. But this is where pressure makes diamonds, because I want to see how they pivot. I want to see if Solo is going to be somebody that they get behind versus Gunther, if they really tell a story there. What story could they make out of it with the MFTs versus Gunther? Because that's not the match I'm pretty sure they planned for. They planned for another edition of Penta versus Gunther. So Interesting place to be. I love the element of surprise. Our next thing, well, we did see backstage, Stephanie McCord dropped a vignette on Nikki Bella saying that she's going to get her comeuppance against Nikki, that she knows Nikki's been there a long time, but she's a champion now, and this is her era. So we don't see these women on screen. Of course, you're supposed to see Stephanie on screen last week until Nikki attacked her ahead of their match on Survivor Series War Games this weekend. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see. There's no chance in my mind that Nikki's about to beat Stephanie. We'll give you our predictions on Wednesday, but good that they didn't keep the show actually could have used them being here in person, but keeping them away and keeping that element of surprise in our minds as far as what this match is going to look like, it should be a good thing. And I hope it's a really great match between two ladies who can absolutely go. We had our War Games Advantage match, the Usos taking on Drew McIntyre as well as Logan Paul, which, of course, as you imagine, ended up in a complete calamity as the Brawns came in trying to give their team the advantage. They were met by CM Punk as well as Cody Rhodes to thwart them, but Logan Paul was able to pick up a pinfall, a roll-up against Jimmy, which gave Paul Heyman's vision the War Games advantage heading into the weekend. As the fight is continuing in the ring, Roman Reigns, he comes, clears house. The show is set to end. We see, I'm going to say, CM Punk's team standing tall as everybody is decimated. Everybody, Drew, Logan, and the Brawns are getting ready to retreat. And just like last week when Roman Reigns' music hits and he comes to a large pop, a lot of fear, Brock Lesnar did the same thing. Brock Lesnar made his return to seemingly take out Roman Reigns, but Titus O'Neil can finally rest. Because them dress shoes, them cowboy boots did not have no grip. That man slipped and busted his ass. And the camera couldn't cut away quick enough. But Brock Lesnar, full on his back, great sport about it. He got up. You can see him smiling and laughing. He even took his cowboy hat and put it on Braun Breaker, which I'm pretty sure Braun was trying to stay in character so much. But I'm pretty sure all those guys got a good laugh when they went backstage. But that's how I'm going to remember the end of Monday Night Raw tonight, with Brock Lesnar busting his ass in his entrance. On cue, with the pyro, foot in the air, full backslide. Great shit. Great shit. By the way, he ended up getting up, trying to play it off, got to the ring, and then they all got into the ring and attacked each other, and then the cameras cut. So we didn't really get to see the fight. I know last week at MSG, we saw NYPD get involved. We saw Cody attack NYPD. We saw a lot of action ringside towards the end of Monday Night Raw. I'm pretty sure all that will come out on socials this week just to build up the hype for War Games, of course, with ESPN sharing more clips of what's going to happen this Saturday in Petco Park. But that was Monday Night Raw. I would say if I gave this show a grade, and there's a lot of go-home shows that will exist for PLEs going forward that exist in the past, this wasn't the greatest go-home show. There's a lot of things we could have did better or even had more action. We could have actually had a women's match. There were no women's matches on the card. We did see Maxine Dupree talking with Adam Pearce about carrying the honor of the IC title and wanting to be a fighting champion. And she was met by not only Ivy Nile, a former friend, saying that title's hers, and also met by Roxanne Perez, telling her to keep the title warm for her. We saw Raquel Rodriguez get mad at Adam Pearce that Nikki Bella has a title shot, not her. And Pearce says, hey, your time will come. I'll take care of you. And now we know that the New Day next Monday night is going to be in tag team action against AJ Styles and Dragon Lee for the tag team title, seemingly getting what they've wanted from Pearce all these months. But it just felt like an empty Monday Night Raw. It felt like it was short-lived, but also felt like it was empty for a go-home show. So that lets me really hope that there's surprises that happen in San Diego for War Games. I know at the last ESPN show, if that was WrestlePalooza, we didn't get the surprises we wanted. So I hope we see some cool stuff for War Games. I'm going to probably more than likely be in the building there because I'm not far from San Diego. And I just want to see a good show. I want to see a good show. I hope the New Day take the titles off Styles and Dragon Lee next week. I hope Brock Lesnar gets some shoes, some stronger grip, so he don't bust his ass this Sunday or Saturday in San Diego. And I hope the ladies continue to get more spotlight. And ladies, in that War Games match, I hope Lash really shines in that War Games match. But I missed you guys earlier. I wasn't on WWT Live this afternoon. I will be back on Wednesday with you guys for CEO Wednesdays. I got some thoughts on that match with Mercedes and Stat over the weekend, and as well as the return of Swerve and what we're doing with Samoa Joe becoming AEW champion. But I appreciate you guys rocking me for the Monday Night Mayor watch along. We're going to do this again next week. We're going to keep this up because the mayor's time is starting to free up a little bit more as we wind down the calendar year 2025. You can find me on the socials at Said Says on Twitter. Said is the answer on the gram and on the TikTok. I got to bring you guys content. I know I keep saying that, but I do got a lot of clips in my archive that I'm going to start repurposing, as well as a nice Mercedes Moné article. Now that we know that she's 0-2 in the big one, the story changes, and there's a lot of detail going into that as we go into 2026 that I can't wait to share with you guys. Appreciate you guys watching me. This has been the Monday Night Mayor. This is Women's Wrestling Talk. This is the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet. See you guys later this week.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.